All right. So, let's see. We've got all right, so we can see everything. Duplicate there. What's on it? There we go. So left off with Pokemon, Greymon, Metal Greymon, doing the flat color. Pretty happy with it. We're going to I don't know if yeah, I guess I'll kind of finish up the flat color as far as the eyes go, because we want a little bit of light dark happening on the iris for these. So let's do that. Actually, let's just grab that. Nope, that color. I'm going to, let's see, let's do that color. Come on, do that. That'll help. Pen. So pump the brush smidge here. So let's do what we want. I want to do that. I really need to make that part darker, or larger. Not darker, larger. So let's do that actually, real quick. Yeah, I think that needs to be adjusted for sure. Let's go here. That's that layer. Let's just kind of do that. Out there, maybe? Maybe. Check that. Yeah, it's not too bad. Bring that down slightly. There we go. Up. There. Oop, nope. Undo whatever I did there. Pen. There we go. Do that there. Nope. Back down here. Okay, I think that's better. Again, we'll grab that color. I'm doing that. That's what I meant to do. Kind of. Anyway, slightly. Alright. Yeah, I don't really care. Got that. And we'll go slightly lighter with that. Back up here, darken that, and then smidge. Just kind of trying to make, I'm seeing in my reference here. Not too bad. I don't hate it. I think that is. Yeah, something about there. Like that. There we go. That's a little better. Let's grab that. Nope, that color. Stop doing that. Okay. Make that. I could blend this down better if I wanted. Just don't think I want to. I mean, it's kind of the style for Digimon to have it kind of in your face, sharp line kind of set up. Actually, let's go brush. Let's get in here and we'll kind of blend this bit here. Because I don't love how that's looking. I like the lighter colors being harsher, but I want that to kind of fade a little bit. Hey, how's it going? Okay, let's jump over here to this. This one's pretty simple. This one's basically just one spot right here. Okay. That threw me off because I was thinking it was on the pen, not the brush. Alright, I mean that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit of life to it already. Let's go. That there. Almost. There we go. Not much. Yeah, not a whole lot been happening. That is not at all. There we go. Yeah, just kind of nope, not over. There we go. Just kind of been hanging out. Yeah, it does. This has it kind of coming up all the way. Almost. Oh boy. Let's do that there. Yeah, I don't hate that. It's not too bad. What about you? Anything new with you? Yeah, I almost want to kind of change that color. And kind of darken this here. Darker. Yeah. That's better. Well, that's not fun. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a bummer. Was that on? Yeah, it was all on that way. Well, okay, we'll merge those down. Oh, I can't merge them down because 10-6 were. Okay, then we'll take away the. Just do it. Okay, okay. Oh, transfer. Oh, that helps. There we go. Okay, so now I got what I wanted. Okay, we got the pen, and I want to do. Yeah, that's real annoying. I'm sorry you probably had COVID. That's never a good time. Sick in general is not fun. Can't imagine COVID sick. Let's try it. Well, I mean that last part's not too bad, but that sucks. Okay, that's not very bad. It was pretty simple. So one of the things about Clip Studio that I really like is I mean, it's pretty similar to other programs as far as like the shortcuts and brushes and stuff you expect, with some exceptions. I mean, it's every program is going to be different in some way, but I really like Clip Studio. Just it's on the cheaper side of art programs. I mean, it's not free, which, you know, is a bummer, but they have a nice interface, and you can adjust it for like if you have a 2-in-1 laptop or something like that. They have in their program I mean, it's not crazy, it's not I mean, a lot of the times I just like, I know there's better ways to do things, but a lot of times I'll just kind of revert back to like, I'll do it this way just because I know how to do it that way. Like there's like as an example, like the symmetry ruler, like you could set up a symmetry ruler and you have nope, not what I meant to do. Back to my pen. Why are you not? Because it's duh. I hate that. Let's drag it down here and I'll pop this up. There we go. So you have the symmetry ruler to do things, but I mean, I'll do like whatever drawing, and then I'll just select, not all the time, but sometimes I'll just kind of select, you know, the half that I like if I'm doing it, and I'll copy paste it, and then I'll flip it and merge them together and do it that way, as opposed to using the symmetry tool. Stuff like that will kind of, like, I'll forget or do it my way that I'm used to doing. Because back in the day, Photoshop, which is what I used to use when I first started, digital art because there weren't really a whole lot of alternatives at that point in time. That's what I used to use. So back then there was no symmetry ruler for Photoshop. You had to do it, like if you wanted something symmetrical, you had to draw it, flip it, and like do it that way. Draw it, copy it, flip it. So I got used to doing that. So that's one thing that on occasion I'll forget to do the easy way and stuff. But I mean, I collect tutorials for digital art constantly. Like I'll watch them, but I'll also save them to a playlist on YouTube, so I have them for later to go back and watch them. So that's another thing, is you watch like 100 different tutorials on like digital art in general, but also on the specific program. Like you pick up things and remember them eventually. But yeah, no, I really like Clip Studio. It's a great program. Honestly, it's my favorite one to use now. Once I found it, I was really happy with the way it does almost everything. Really, really nicely. I think that works for now, at least. But yeah, like nothing is like straightforward and simple, really. Nope. Nope, that's not it. Shift. Control. All those arrows. Yeah, I mean, learning to use any medium is gonna take time, effort, mental space in your brain, all those things. I think it would be this hard, at least. I mean, yeah, it's different for everyone. I kind of started figuring out digital art, or trying to figure out digital art when I was a kid. I don't know necessarily how old you are, doesn't really matter, but and when I say when I was a kid, that's when it was first starting to become like a thing, really. At least in my mind, that's kind of that point in time where it like actually was becoming more prevalent, at least, I guess. So that's one of the reasons I was trying to figure it out myself and kind of work towards that, because I knew I liked computers and I like drawing and art, so that's a helpful thing to know how to work digitally. And nowadays, like, most things are done digitally. Honestly, it's just kind of how it works. But yeah. But I was saying, like, all mediums kind of take time, effort, mental capacity to like sit down and figure out what you're trying to do. Like, for me, painting was never something I was really strong at, and was often quite difficult for me. It felt like I had a lot less control than with pencil, pen, that kind of stuff. So that was a more difficult medium for me to learn in traditional medium. So like, hey, thanks, Tail Red. I appreciate that. So yeah, every type of medium and all that is going to take time and effort and different amounts of your mental capacity, and some things will come really easily, some things will be difficult and you'll have to really fight it to kind of figure out what's going on. It's just all kind of a give and take, figure it out as you go kind of situation, from what I've learned for my many years of working with different mediums, and digital is no different. And even like each program working digitally is going to be different. Like I have so many brushes in here, like just in the pens, you know, and like each of those work differently, and learning how to use those versus learning how to use a different brush. Like it's digital, I feel like, is harder in that respect because there are so many different brushes to download and make yourself, or like buy from someone else and download. Like there's a lot of free brushes in Clip Studio, for example. There's a huge community for that, which is wonderful. So you can kind of find brushes that work, at least mostly for you, and tweak them in the system settings, which is nice. But yeah, again, it's just like, because of you have all these mediums that would be different mediums entirely in traditional medium, all built into a digital program, which is a medium of its own. But then, yeah, you have subcategories of medium digitally in your program. Like, it's kind of crazy. So it gets a little funky, in my opinion. But that's just my kind of view on that. I don't know how other people feel. I could be off base as far as other people are concerned. They might think, oh, everything like digital is super easy. I don't understand what you're saying. Like, I got it with no problem. And maybe that's just like, it just worked for them, kind of thing. But yeah, everything you try is going to be different, just like in traditional media. Each program you try, each brush in a program you try is going to work differently for you than it will someone else. It's just a little bit of everything. So I try to stick with, like, this canvas I'm working on right now is a 16 by 9. 16 by 9 is a nice size, or 9 by 16 if you're working portrait. I mean, just because, let's say you want it to be the background for a phone or someone's desktop background, 16 by 9 is what the aspect ratio is for most monitors now. 9 by 16 is the aspect ratio for most phones. So it just kind of makes it easier. But I also work in totally different aspect ratios if I think the piece, like if I'm just doing like recently I've done a couple skulls, dinosaur skulls. I did those in like 9 by 12-ish, 9 by 12, so like 3 by 4 aspect ratio, because it's the skull is just kind of that shape. So it made me more comfortable to do it that way. But again, it's just kind of whatever's gonna work for you for the piece. But if you're aiming for a certain type of situation, like a background, like a desktop background or a phone background, you'll want to try and do it in the aspect ratio, just because I mean that's going to be the best aspect ratio for the thing you want. But yeah, like 9 by 16, 16 by 9. I don't know why I keep doing that. I want it on this side. Is like pretty good. And if you plan to do like storyboarding for shows or something in the future, if that's what you're kind of aiming for, you should be comfortable working in that aspect ratio, just because that's the screen aspect ratio. So it would behoove you, for using a big word there, it would benefit you the most to do it in that aspect ratio because of that reason. But again, it's whatever works for you. Is like it depends on the piece. Like I said, I routinely do it in different aspect ratios other than those, but that's like my default starting point. Is I'll start with, like, all my new documents pop up 9 by 16 or 16 by 9. I'll change it depending on what I think I want for the piece, but like if I think that's not gonna be the right look, then I'll change it. But yeah, it all depends on what you're looking to do. Just like, I mean, I love Clip Studio Paint, but there are people out there who are not going to find it to work for them, and that makes sense. Like, there's no cookie cutter program for everyone. It's just, it doesn't exist. I wish it did, but it does not. Like, there's just no way. That being said, Clip Studio Paint is a wonderful program. I love it because it allows you to work in raster or in vector, and you don't have to even change. Oops, no, I don't want. You don't even have to change the file. It manages it all like on a layer basis. Like, it's wonderful. Like, all of the line art for the Digimon here is on a raster layer, not a raster, a vector layer. My paint, like your fills and stuff, they have to be raster, but I mean, that's not a big deal if you stop and really think about it. It's crazy. That's not what I meant to do. But yeah, kind of totally forgot where I was going with all this. I know you were talking about it. You found it difficult. Yeah. Vector layers are great if you plan on, like, it's really great for like animation. Raster vector lines for animation is really good because you can resize them and all that, and it doesn't distort them because they are point based versus pixel based. So if I go to this layer, which is a vector layer, and I grab this tool, you can see it's all points. So it's a mathematical point-based system versus a raster system. So even though clearly when I zoom in you can see it's pixelated, but like that's because I'm zooming in. If I were to like just make the whole line art layer twice the size, it'd be the same clarity. It's great. But yeah, so that's a nice benefit of like vector line art. It tends, for me at least, to make my work look a little stiffer, which I don't love if I'm doing like a normal piece that I wouldn't plan to make like a pin or a sticker or something out of. I'd avoid it, or if I like was making an animation, also would be a great use of vector, like I said. But yeah, I tend to work with raster layers normally. This is vector because I can see this being like a sticker set or pins somewhere down the line if I ever get around to it. So that's why these particular ones are being set up this way. This particular pieces, and like I started it with the Digivices. So the Digivices work well as a vector line setup because they are mechanical and stiff to begin with. So you don't have to worry about being looking too stiff. So yeah, that's a helpful bit there as well. But yeah, that's okay. Oops. I mean, there are people who make vector layers look super energetic and wonderful out there. I'm just not one of those people who can make them look super energetic and great. But there are definitely people out there who are fully capable of doing that, and those people rock. Again, I'm just not one of them, unfortunately. So I kind of reserve it for things like this, where it's a little bit more... It's okay for it to look stiffer than it normally would. I need to fix a couple spots, it looks like, as far as the line art on this, like this bit here. No, that needs to kind of... There we go. We almost had it. About there. That's better. I'm not nailing it. I'm trying to figure out where this... Okay, that's what happened. Okay. So, and another nice thing about the vector lines is I can go in and make adjustments like that, where it doesn't quite stop where I want it to, or something like that. There was another spot I noticed. Yeah, right there on this horn. So here on this horn. Oh, see, again, kind of having to figure out. There we go. How that's set up. Better. Okay. So I think those were like the ones that I noticed. Alright. So back down to this layer here, and my pen tool again. So I mean, like, that right there is just kind of a situation where it's super helpful to have a vector line art. It looks like the helmet's pretty much good to go. Throw down shadow right here on this bottom lip. I'm going to throw a shadow right there. At the very least, feels right. Throw a shadow down here. And then yeah, I figured there would be a shadow on that little bit there. Yeah, like with Photoshop, you can't do vector. You have to do vector in Illustrator. So, and you can import like vector pieces into Photoshop, but not, you can't make them in there. So it's just because each of those programs are very specific in what they do, you have situations like that where it's like, well, if I want to make something like this, I have to do it in this program and then import it over here, and I mean, it's kind of a bummer. Also, the subscription model they have is absolute bogus. They are ripping you off insane amounts. Realistically, like, it's so gnarly. They don't care. Like, it's super expensive. Even with like a student subscription, it's like $20 a month. Like, I don't know what world you're living in where a student can afford $20 a month on a program that you used to be able to buy and own. You don't own it anymore. You rent it for however long, you pay them all this money, and then you're done. Like, it's okay. I don't know, that one always bugged me. When they started this like subscription, it wasn't too insane, so it, like, I still didn't like it, but it was like bearable. Now it's like, you guys are just greedy and kind of like just really taking advantage of people. It's really sad. Which is why another reason I really like WIP Studio is, like, you buy the license for a fraction of what it would cost to buy Photoshop or Illustrator back in the day, when you could buy it. And it's just, yeah, I don't know, it's, Adobe has gotten super greedy. There are also cheaper alternatives of those programs that you can buy outright that will read those files and make those types of files, which I would highly suggest anyone who's a student look into that. I believe it's Affinity. Highly recommend looking into that alternative for those programs if you feel like that's what you need to do. But yeah, not a huge Adobe fan here personally. Like, their programs used to be like the industry standard, so it made sense, like, you had to have the knowledge in those programs. Nowadays, not so much. You can kind of not have those programs. You can run other programs as long as you get the same, you can have those file types and run that. I mean, it's that crazy. I think that's all of the shading for him. Yeah. I mean, I could go on for quite some time regarding Adobe. Not a fan. Not a fan. Anyway, okay, so let's jump over to Greymon. I mean, there are also like free programs out there that do quite a bit of what, or like do just the same stuff that Illustrator and Photoshop do. I mean, it's not crazy. Oh gosh. But yeah, so I'm a big fan of Clip Studio Paint. They don't use a subscription model on their desktop version of their program. They do on their mobile version, which, I mean, I can forgive. It makes sense. But yeah, one of the main reasons that I decided to run with a Windows 2-in-1 laptop tablet kind of setup, because it runs full on Windows. I can use the desktop version, still have a tablet that I can take. Yeah, I mean, and they have like twice a year they have a sale on their programs where it's like half off of both the Pro and the EX version. I would highly recommend anyone looking to get into like animation or something, if you're looking at getting Clip Studio Paint, to get the EX version, because that lets you fully animate, whereas the Pro version only lets you animate up to like 1 second, so like 24 frames if you have 24 frames in a second. But yeah, like twice a year they'll have a half off sale. So instead of, I think you can get the EX for like $125 on sale that way, or if you get Pro, you can get that for like 25-50 bucks. I don't remember how much Pro is, but I looked into it, and yeah, I'm really happy with my purchase, I'll say that. I'm a big fan. And I highly recommend the program to anyone who's looking to pay for a program. I mean, there's, like I said, there's great programs out there for free. GIMP, Medibang, stuff like that, where they have wonderful programs that are free. But again, if you're looking to pay for a program, I highly recommend this one. But there are also the Affinity, with an A, Affinity. I think Affinity, Illustrator, Affinity. Yeah. Anyway, they're knockoff Illustrator and Photoshop and Dreamweaver, I think. And that kind of makes it sound cheap and everything. I want to make it sound that way. They are alternatives to that for much cheaper. And they are great programs from what I have been told. I have not personally used them, so I can't say for certain on my end, but I know great artists out there who have used them and recommend them for replacing Photoshop and Illustrator for a much cheaper alternative. Yeah. To me it makes sense. I don't know. Maybe you like paying however much it is for a non-student version of Photoshop and all that a month. I have issues with it. Subscription models are not cool in my opinion for the most part. Like I said, I understand why Clip Studio does it with their mobile version of the program. Totally get it. I do. I just don't love it. Not my favorite thing. But they also are not charging like $20 for a student a month. You know, it's like a couple bucks. That is far more forgivable to me than what Adobe does to people. It's absurd. Yeah. Again, I could go on about Adobe and their greed for hours, I feel like. And that's not what we're here for. We're here for art stuff. But yeah. I'm a big fan of Clip Studio. Great program. It is my go-to program for all my art. It works for me for everything I need to do. For a reasonable price, and I don't know. You can't ask for much more than that, in my opinion. You just it's a reasonable price. It works phenomenally. They put up tutorials on YouTube for free from like really great artists. I've watched a lot of them, and it is great. I think that's wonderful. I don't look because I don't use the programs, but I don't see like Photoshop and Illustrator necessarily doing that kind of stuff. There are artists out there who put up tutorials for those programs because they're nice people, but Clip Studio actually has these artists put out these tutorials on stuff for them, which is great. Putting that effort into your community is nice to see. Let's see, gosh, trying to work out some of these shadows. Okay, actually, let's do this. There we go. That's a little bit better. But yeah, Clip Studio, great program. And like I said, there are a lot of great tutorials from wonderful artists who use the program. And they add more all the time. It's crazy. Yeah, I really appreciate that Clip Studio seems to actually care about their users and not so much about how much money they can give them. Ah, yeah, I don't know about that. What I like to do for my reference stuff is I use PureRef, which is a totally different program from Clip Studio. And it can sit above all other windows on your screen, so you don't have to like pop it up, minimize it, or have like have it on half of your screen or anything like that. It literally just sits above everything. Luckily in this setup that I have for streaming, I have two screens. I have a display tablet that I use, and I have my other screen back here under my camera that handles like OBS, and that's why I can see the chat and everything. Yeah, so that's super helpful. I really appreciate that. Okay, this is all shaded here. Yeah, so I use PureRef when I want to use reference. Hold on one second, sorry. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Now, the downside to using a different program for your reference images is obviously I can't color pick that. But I just kind of I just kind of eyeball it and look, grab, like adjust the color and stuff like that for when I'm doing it. I mean, you may not feel comfortable enough to do that, and that's totally fine. But that's how I do my coloring. And I mean, I could always just add the image into the program and do it. And if I wanted to actually color pick, I could do it that way. But I like PureRef. It's nifty. It helps me. And it, like, you kind of avoid being tempted to trace if it's not kind of turning out the way you want it, which, I mean, I get frustrated sometimes, and I'm like, I could just trace it if I could just... But no, that kind of helps me avoid that option. I mean, obviously I could still just bring it into the program and do it anyway, but I try to avoid doing that. And tracing, if you're trying to learn how to draw something, is absolutely fine. I'm not saying tracing in all instances is bad, but you obviously want to avoid tracing things that are not your work. To, like, if you're planning to like distribute something or put it out there, like, I made this, don't trace. It's not good. Don't do that. But yeah, so that's kind of that. Yeah, let's do just little things like that. It helps me avoid the temptation to trace something if it's not going the way I've envisioned it in my mind, and stuff like that. I appreciate. Right? But yeah, I enjoy it. It's pretty helpful. And you actually have to set it to sit above Windows. It's not its default setting, just FYI. But yes, it's very, very helpful program for me. I like it a lot. Much like Clip Studio, which I like a lot. But yeah. Pure Ref, great program for holding your reference images while you work. Big fan. That one's kind of on the inside. I thought it was sense, right? I guess. I don't know. We'll kind of throw this one aside. See what happens here. We'll make that shadow. That'll be shadow. Kind of shadow this bit. And here we go here. This to go like that, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. Some of these are a little harder than others. All right. This bit back here being shadow. So right now, yeah, I'm going through and doing all the shading, and then once I knock this out, move on to the highlights, which will, I think, kind of mostly just be Metal Greymon's helmet. I'll do a little highlighting on Greymon and Agumon, but not much. It'll be most notable on Metal Greymon just because of the metal and the helmet situation there. Okay. I think that's pretty much good as far as that goes. This is where we get to have a little fun. Let's do, like, I think multiply works best. And then we drop it. Should we do a 50? I think we might need to go smidge wider. No, that looks pretty close. That's not too bad. Look at this real quick. So, fun thing I learned recently. See how it's picking that color on the. So that shadow, that's picking that color up now. If you go to your eyedropper, so it says obtain display color. If you do pick up color from layer, now go back to my pen. So that's the color I picked up before when I sampled this. Now when I sample it, it picks up the actual color. Super, super helpful. So when you're working on a layer that you're shading or using a highlight color and you've changed the layer mode, very, very helpful setting for your eyedropper. Just helpful advice there. Learned that one not too long ago. Saves you a lot of headache trying to, because before I would change it back to normal, change the opacity back to 100, grab that color, change it back to 50%, go back to multiply. Now I don't have to do any of that. I just eyedropper that shadow and it gives me the actual color as opposed to what I'm seeing. And I'm sure there are cases where you would prefer to do it the other way, but I find like 90% of the time I want the color I was using, not the color that's visually sitting there. So it helps me a lot. Yeah, I'll leave it with that. I might go back and adjust his shadows a smidge, but as of right now it's fine. So we'll duplicate that layer and we will clear that layer and we'll change this from multiplying to, we'll do normal for right now. And I like to go with like a yellow, bright yellow, like a very light bright yellow for highlights. So he's actually got like one solid highlight right about here. Not too bad. Okay, so we'll drop that to about there. We'll do that. So right now this is normal layer mode with 100% opacity, and I like to work that way while I'm putting the shadows and highlights in originally, because it helps me really see the highlights and the shadows a lot easier, because when you make that change to the layer mode and opacity, it can tend to kind of soften everything up and it's a little harder to see exactly what's going on. So I tend to stick to 100% opacity with a normal layer until I am finished, or most of the way finished at the very least. And this is kind of rim lighty kind of setup. I'll throw a little bit of highlight on these teeth, because teeth tend to be kind of shiny, you know? A little bit on that gum. hit that tongue. Alright, we'll call it there, I think. Maybe a smidge right here. And I wouldn't be afraid to do certain highlights on one layer versus a different layer, or shadows on one layer versus a different layer. Like I was saying before, this looks kind of dark to me. I mean, if I'm looking at the reference picture, it's actually not too crazy, but it seems a little dark to me on that saturated orange. It works well on the desaturated oranges, but I don't really love the way it looks on that more saturated orange. So I'm probably gonna separate this one, like the orange parts of the shading on this, and put it on a separate layer and decrease that opacity. So yeah, I wouldn't be afraid to do stuff like that because it will be helpful. And my reference images, or at least the one for Greymon that I'm working from, doesn't have any of these highlights except for this one right here. So I'm kind of going in and making up some of these highlights because I think it looks correct to me. So, I mean, you can always change the highlights in shadows if you think it needs to look a little bit different. Don't be afraid to make changes. Stiff. Yeah, because I mean, I'm looking at this and there's 2 highlights on Metal Greymon. Like it's, there's, oh, because I hit C before I moved it over. There's one right here. Actually, yeah, let's hit C. On the horn, and there's one right on this edge. It's rounded, but that's where the planes kind of shift, is in that little area right there. And that's it. There are no other highlights on this image, which to me is a little weird, and that's why I'm going to adjust it just like I did the Greymon. I adjusted it because I didn't agree that there are like no other highlights. And I mean, part of that is these are stills from animation. It makes sense. You don't want to crowd your drawing with too much information, light and shadow. You just want it to like show up and be visually striking but not detract from what's happening kind of situation. That's my best guess. Like a lot of these shadows are different on that. One thing I would probably I'm gonna do here is I'm going to add like on the line just like the hint of a light here. Might not even have it go all the way down. But that way, like, I know this is catching light. If this is lit up, these lines that are in the thing, they have to catch light in some way. And I put them all on that side, so I'm going to do it on that side of this. And it's pretty subtle, it's not crazy. Actually, on this one, it would probably be on this side. Again, kind of making it a little bit more subtle, toning it back. But yeah. Like that. We went a little far. That's fine. And let's see. Yeah, I'd probably, do I want to have it on that edge? Maybe, I don't know. Throw some highlight here. And the way I work is I'm not overly concerned with having super perfect color lines and stuff like that. I go back and I shape the lines with erasing a lot of times when I'm doing raster stuff. So I'm not one of those people who makes perfect lines and whatnot first try out of the gate. Not me at all. So, I mean, that could definitely be you. You could nail it first time or not want to go back and do it, so you redo it kind of thing. That's perfectly fine and acceptable. But this is how I do mine, is all. I'm not necessarily concerned with nailing it. Like, every time I can go back and erase back and kind of shape my lines. Not concerned with that kind of stuff. Again, to each their own, not a big deal. Kind of leave that like that, I guess. I'm going to throw a little bit of shine right here. We'll do at least some right here. Kind of push this. I dig that. Catch that slightly on this one. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do that. I'm gonna back it up. There we go. Not too bad. No worries. Anyway. Let's see. Okay, so we kind of got that all worked out. Come over here. Let's see. this version has kind of actually got some rim lighting in the shadows, which is interesting. I'll throw highlight right here. Right there. Definitely need to clean up shadows on this particular one. A smidge. Hey, welcome back. So I'm not going to get too crazy with this one. It looks like put a little gum right there. Maybe a little bit right here. Okay, now let's go down here and grab that. We're also going to oh, no, that's not. There we go. Okay. Clean up some of this mess here. Ba-ba-da. Let's see. Let's do. Okay, okay. Just kind of want to smooth things out a bit. And a little bit right there. I think that's pretty good. All right, so let's zoom out here. Rotate this back to where it should be. We got that. Let's jump up here. We're going to make this one. Look at overlay versus soft light, hard light. Let's set the. So that was already set down to 50%, which is crazy. Okay, overlay. Let's just do screen. Yeah, screen is a little bit better for me. It takes a lot of the yellow away. I'll do 35. That's not half bad. So yeah, there we go. Not too shabby. So real quick, I am going to grab basically all of that except for grab all of it real quick. Let's get in here and go to Alt. All right, let's do duplicate layer. Select, invert, delete everything else. Select, invert, get back here. Going to delete the orange. All right. So then on this one, we're going to tone that down. Let's try 30. 35. Yeah, I think that's a much better look. All right. So that's like good to go. As far as they are, sorry, I guess I could shade Digivice some. I don't know. We'll leave it like this for now, I guess. Yeah, that's not half bad. So yeah, that's 35 versus 50. So kinda dark at 50. A little too saturated at 50. Like 35. Alright. Let's see. So yeah, there's that. It's not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, I guess I should do shading for this guy. Let's do blonde. Let's do that. We're going to outside. Invert up here, new raster layer. All right, pen. We've got the right color, and we are going to throw down. Oops, I hate when I do that. Throw down. Oops. And throw down shading. Okay. Oh, that there. Take that there. No, that doesn't make sense because that part isn't. It's a little bit, but not really. Right there. This part is definitely a little bit bezeled. Gonna throw right there. Into it, so we kind of throw a shadow right there. And then again, we'll refine this in a minute here. I'm going to go out there. Mm. I want to do slight and yeah, we'll just go that. Because these edges were slightly beveled. That, yeah, okay. We'll do there. That's definitely do only show up on the white parts there, but that's fine. And a little bit of screen. Okay. Yeah, that'll work. Alright, so let's get in here. Alright. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Let's do that. There. Bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. Boom, 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 boom. This is probably super riveting, but almost done. I don't think I'm going to do a highlight on this. Just kind of knocking out shadows for the Digivice is good. It's not too bad. Always forget you can't rotate when you using the eraser. You also can't erase, I mean, when you're using the symmetry tool, it will only erase the side you're erasing on, which is great for some things, not so much for other things. So if you're going to try and erase while you're using the symmetry tool in Clip Studio, you should use the paint with transparency rather than the actual eraser. Basically it does the same thing but slightly different. Give me 1 second here. So let's see. Let's zoom out. No, why did it not? There we go. So let's go over here. Bring this back. So let's see. I'll put the symmetry tool back on this. So right now, bring my pen back. I've got my pen. Right? It's doing all the symmetry, all that. I'm now going to switch over to my eraser. I'm in my eraser. I'm erasing. It only erases that. You can't really see. Hold on. Let's undo that. Grab the symmetry tool again. So let's put it off over here. Symmetry tool. pen. Alright, so you got that. I switch over to my eraser. I'm currently on my eraser. I do this. It only erases on that side that you are using the eraser on. Okay? So let's undo that. Now, if I am using my pen, again, pen, and I hit C on my keyboard for the shortcut, or if you just go down here, if you can see my cursor, you see this checker pattern? That is your paint with transparency, or your pen brush, pencil brush, whatever brush you're using. If you choose that, and you see it goes blank in that little thing, now if I go to quote-unquote erase or paint with transparency, it does it to both sides. And you can also rotate while you have that. Whereas if I were to switch that to my eraser, I'm now on my eraser, I hit R to rotate, nothing. 0. Yeah. Fun facts. Yeah. Right down here. So I don't know if, hopefully that makes sense. I will be right back. Hold on, I have to. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Had to take care of something real quick. Yeah. And it's still on that transparency. There we go. Look. Alright. We're pretty much good to go on this, I think. Almost. We almost had it. There we go. But yeah, so hopefully that makes sense after I kind of showed you what I was talking about. All right, we'll call that good. And we're going to multiply. And like 50%. Yeah, that looks good. I mean, it really looks kind of interesting. As it sits, I guess, is the best word to kind of describe it. There's like nothing connecting everything together. I don't know. Maybe. Earlier. I do kind of like something like that, like fire. I don't know. That could be helpful in marrying all the things. Or maybe less of a full-on flame behind everything, more flames kind of going around. I do. I think it kind of might make sense to have it. Let's get down. definitely just gonna. It's supposed to refer to other layers. Alright, because these aren't. Now we can do this, and it should hopefully. Nope, still going through everything. What I said. Oh, because. Okay. Nope. So if I did that, yeah, that would take all of the others away. That's annoying. Whatever. There we go. Ba-bum, ba-bum. Kind of like this for now. Yeah, it's the idea. I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but it's an idea. Oh, all right. Well, been at this for a little while now. 2 hours. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's normally about the amount of time I do this. So let's see. Yeah, it's everything else. I don't know why that one always. We'll save that real quick, and yeah, I think it looks pretty darn good. I wonder. Yeah, it's fine. So that's what we did today. Pretty sweet, I think. It's not too bad as far as the fire flame thing goes, but I'm pretty happy with the shading and the highlights on the Digimon and the shading on the Digivice. Pretty good. And so, yeah, not too bad, not too bad. And yeah, I guess let's see. Yeah. Thanks for stopping in and checking out what I'm doing. I really appreciate it, and I hope I see you guys next time. I normally stream at 10 a.m. Pacific time on Saturdays. I had some stuff going on this morning, so I did not get to it then, and I decided to do it now, much later than 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's currently almost 5. So yeah, a little bit later start than I normally do. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully come back and see what I'm working on next time. I will be working on something totally different, probably totally different-ish at least. I might be doing a different set of Digimon, or I might be working on something different from this entirely. I don't know. We'll play it by ear. Anyway, really appreciate everyone coming by. Again, thank you so much, and thanks for following, subscribing, all that stuff wherever you are. I appreciate it. And again, hopefully I'll see you next time. If you have friends, family who like art or nerd stuff and have free time on Saturdays and they don't know what to do, tell them, hey, check this guy out, Zann20 on Twitch, DLive, YouTube, Picardo. I mean, I'm on multiple platforms at the same time on Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, and I love chatting with people and talking art and nerd stuff and all that. So yeah, come hang out. I'll see you guys next time.